watching the Weather Network, Canada's #1 source for accurate weather forecasts. The thunderstorm risk today, Quebec City, Val-d'Or, Rouyn-Noranda, back up into Sudbury and North Bay and across all of southern Ontario included in that risk today. So we're going to watch a couple of zones for possibly some big storms. That's today's forecast. But Sunday, what's in store? It's Father's Day, everyone wants to know, and the answer is coming up right here with Michelle.
Well, Sunday is, of course, Father's Day. I hope you have something nice planned. A look at our systems across the country for your Sunday. Nice as we look to the west. Ridge of high pressure for the south coast of BC. We are looking at a little bit of moisture for the southern prairies, most notably Manitoba. And then, believe it or not, this is moisture associated with Tropical Storm Bill. It's now Tropical Depression Bill. That's making its way into central Ontario, also making its way into Quebec. In terms of your temperatures, we're going to be nice and mild in the west, but as we look to Ontario, it's going to be very muggy. It's very sticky as well. Taking a close-up look, we'll be in the mid to high 20s with the humidity feeling more like the low 30s.
All right, thanks so much for that, Michelle. Right now, share your weather. Well, the remnants of Tropical Storm Bill, of course, are making headlines, and as they should, because Dallas has been hard hit, as well as Houston, but not maybe as hard as areas to the east of the state, at this point at least in northern Louisiana. But this is video from the eastern part of the state that's just getting hammered by rainfall. The center of what's left of Bill is actually over Oklahoma at this point. But what about here at home? What about the potential for severe weather of our own? With details on that, here is meteorologist Jaclyn Whittle.
All right, so we have a couple triggers today in the atmosphere in Ontario, so severe storms possible. I want to talk a little bit about some of the parameters and some of those triggers. So here's a warm front. This is the first round of light showers throughout the morning hours in the early afternoon. Second trigger becomes this cold front and a second cold front. Do you see how it kind of becomes messy? That's going to possibly mess up the atmosphere a little bit in terms of severe weather, which is good news for patrons, not maybe good news for storm chasers. A couple factors, because if you have two areas that are giving some lift, maybe then one air mass could be worked over a little bit more, and then the next trigger comes through and you've got kind of worked over air. What we do have today, though, in favor of severe weather is CAPE, convective, available, potential energy. Meteorology is just peppered with acronyms everywhere. This one basically shows us the strength of our updraft and basically the energy or the buoyancy of the air mass. So we do have some CAPE, especially down towards Windsor as we get on with the day. But I want to show you one final product, and that is the cloud cover, because throughout the day we could have a lot of overcast conditions that could squash the chance of storms.
Thank you so much for that, Jaclyn. These are the afternoon temperatures across southern Ontario, generally still sitting in the mid-20s. So as Jaclyn was mentioning, we'll watch for the potential of some storms or some special weather statements in the southeast of the province, as well as some thunderstorm watches near Quebec City, because the risk is very widespread today, both in southern and western Quebec, as well as southern Ontario, and through the northeast up toward even North Bay. So these are Saturday's temperatures, still sitting in the mid-20s. Overall, not looking too bad. When we look at our 7-day forecast, we can see Saturday's a pretty decent day. In my opinion, perfect. Feels like 27. That's my favorite. Sunday is Father's Day, though, and we have the chance of some rain and some storms. In fact, that chance sits at 70%. Maybe not the best day for golf. Monday, Tuesday, look at these, and also look at this humidex reading. Feels like 33. That is really going to be drawing up the humidity from the south by the time we get to the end of the weekend. Yesterday across the prairies, we had a cold front that was draped across, and it brought some thunderstorms. Today, that cold front is making its way across our province. But let's take a look at yesterday, because I've got this really great with the cold front. Today, that cold front is slicing through Ontario. So this is the risk map today, up toward Val-d'Or, the Temagami region. We've got Quebec City included in that, a watch in place. We've got statements through the southeast. Isolated severe weather is possible. All of southern Ontario included in that thunderstorm risk for today. So these are the systems. There's that cold front. As it continues to make its track along with our low pressure system, we can see that behind it, high pressure starts to build in. So that's what helps to stabilize the atmosphere. But it's not, well, actually, this isn't going to last forever. Nothing does in weather. But by Sunday, we're definitely looking at potential for some more active weather. In fact, with more details on what we can expect for Father's Day, let's turn it over to meteorologist Nicole.
On Sunday, well, Western Canada looks good as we head into Father's Day, the longest day of the year and the start of summer. It's going to be messy for portions of Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. Our daytime highs on Sunday, seasonably cool in Calgary at 18. Winnipeg will be 22 degrees. That looks good to me. But as we look towards Ontario, it's going to be very soupy, very humid, and that's because of Tropical Depression Bill. It's going to be pulling up those southerly winds from the Gulf. It's going to feel closer to the 30s with the humidity. Plus, we have the risk of those thunderstorms and some showers through the day. So unfortunately, it is looking a little touch and go. As we head into the next 7 days, however, Hamilton will see some nice weather until Saturday. It's just that Sunday's got the question marks.
Thanks so much for that, Nicole. This is a look ahead now as high pressure builds in, but as I mentioned before, we do have our next low coming through on Sunday. That's going to bring us some more unsettled weather. So we watch the progression of that low moving off into Atlantic Canada, and then another low stateside that we'll just kind of keep an eye on to see whether or not we see any impact from that. But yeah, definitely looking at this pattern of wet weather and cold fronts coming through our region over the next week. So when we look at the 7-day forecast, we've got the thunderstorm potential, as Nicole was mentioning, on Sunday. Let's get you caught up with our expected weather today. Risk for some thunderstorms and possibly some severe weather into the southeast of the province. We'll talk more about that in just a moment, though. We've had some big storms near Chicago, and today, of course, we've got the Stanley Cup Parade in Chicago. We've seen some storm cells, some pretty big storm cells. Let's hope that we don't see a delay of the parade. That would be no fun. We know the Cup was delayed from the flooding the other day, too. So thunderstorm risk today across southern Ontario. It looks like this. Isolated severe down through the south and west. And southeastern Ontario, we're going to watch this zone pretty closely as well because we have the possibility of seeing some thunderstorms. When we look at our long-range highlights, we can expect that we're going to have an active pattern likely into next week. We've got a thunderstorm potential for Father's Day and for early July. Now we're talking about early July already, possibly looking actually at some warmth moving through as well. So those details are to come. But right now, let's go over to Kelly Noseworthy. We checked in with her a little bit earlier on in the day in Mississauga. All right, thanks so much for that, Kelly. These are the weather highlights looking ahead now to Saturday, where the morning might start off on a cool note, but the daytime highs are really not. Overall, the day is good. But then we start to get into late overnight and then through Sunday, and it will become more unsettled for Father's Day. This is the look now for the forecast on Saturday. As we zoom out a little bit, we can see the icons themselves. Lots of sun icons there. Not as much in the way of cloud cover, but things will likely change by the time we get to Sunday, as we've got more in the way of clouds and showers, and the potential for storms returns across southern Ontario for this Sunday, which of course is Father's Day. We are moments away from storm hunters into the core in just a moment. First, though, a weather update. We've got our afternoon temperatures here with the icons. We can see that most major city centers are seeing some sunshine, although some beneficial rains have arrived in Vancouver in 17, a little cooler than average. Possibility of some storms across southern Ontario and southern Quebec throughout the afternoon. So this is the risk map, and possibly some severe weather through the south and east and southwest of the province. I'm going to watch that zone as well as Alberta and BC. So right now, storm hunters. Angry Planet is coming up in just a moment. First, though, a weather update. This afternoon's temperatures, we're in the high 20s here for Montreal, although in Quebec City, Montreal, and even down toward Toronto, there's a risk of some thunderstorms today. So we put this map together to show that isolated severe weather is possible there. So it's up into the North Bay and Sudbury areas as well. So really a widespread risk of storms across Ontario, Quebec. Back toward the west, we're looking actually at most of Alberta and the BC interior included. We've got some beneficial rains in Vancouver, though, today. Right now, Angry Planet.